You're watching ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the Big Sky Men's Basketball Championship game. And this championship showdown in the Treasure Valley culminates tonight with both teams coming from the Treasure State as the two-time defending champion Montana State Bobcats square up with the Grizzlies of Montana. This year's edition has been crazy. It's been wild. It's been the wildest we've ever seen, and the bracket is evidence an incredible amount of upsets, and it all ends here tonight with the 5 seed and the 3 seed. Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks so much for staying up late with us tonight. Alongside Hall of Fame coach Joe Cravens, I'm Tony Parks, and Coach, we look at the Montana State Bobcats, a team that lost 78% of their point production. They lost 66% of their rebound production. Lo and behold, after some bumps and skids throughout the year, they're right back here again.
Well, Matt Logie has done a great job with this team and with this program. Tony, this is their 4th straight year in the conference tournament championship game. Now, a little subtlety about that. 3 of their top 6 have been in this game the last 2 years, so there is a little bit of experience that's been around.
All right, Robert Ford III, an enormous reason why, a guy who came off the bench last year, hit some big shots. Now he tends to be the boss with this group, and when things need to get done, he does it in every way.
What a year Robert Ford III has had, Tony. First team All-Big Sky, the defensive player of the year. He not only led the league in steals, he was second in the NCAA in steals. He has had just a fabulous senior year.
The Montana Grizzlies this year, they come into the tournament and right now have won 7 of their last 8. The Grizzlies have dictated the terms in each of their conference tournament games. So while a ton of upsets have been happening, this team has done exactly what they were supposed to do.
Well, Tony, the Grizzlies are not just the oldest team in the Big Sky. They are one of the oldest teams in all of college basketball. Their 5 starters have played over 700 games in college with 400 starts, and that experience, I think, has really showed itself down the stretch all the way to this conference championship game.
We'll take a look at the coaching matchup here this evening. Coach Travis DeCure and Coach Matt Logie, they have something in common. They're all connected to a guy who won a ton as well.
The winningest coach in the history of Washington State high school basketball, Ed Peppel, an old buddy of mine, 952 wins. Tony, that's Matt Logie's grandfather. Who played for Ed Peppel? Travis DeCure. Who was the ball boy there? Matt Logie. And so what a connection these two coaches have. And I want to say hello to Ed Peppel's beautiful wife, Shirley, and I hope she's doing well.
All right, so Logie, a fan of Travis DeCure. These two guys connected very, very well. Travis DeCure, 14-4 all-time against Montana State, tied for the best win percentage in the rivalry's history, just won his 200th game. And this guy has been the fabric of the Montana Grizzlies in his history. He felt like COVID really damaged this program in terms of its culture, and it disrupted what he likes to get done. Now they seem to be back to form.
Well, this is his 5th 20-win season, Tony, which is the most of any coach in the history of Grizzly basketball. And boy, you could talk forever and a day about that basketball coaching tree that has come out of Montana, and none of them have had more success than Travis DeCure.
Matt Logie said, we felt like we were starting a lap behind in the conference with how late they got started and with how much they lost. They had to gradually climb up to this point, but you can see there's a reason why wherever he goes, he wins, and he wins at a high level.
Well, I told you how many 20-win seasons he's had in 12 years. 11 out of 12, he's won 20 seasons. And I tell you what, that speaks for itself right there. What they're doing in this tournament, Tony, they are shooting the ball really, really well, and they're playing hard.
Both teams trying to punch the ticket to the NCAA tournament. The other thing at stake, bragging rights for this rivalry. The fan bases, you could feel it. The excitement, the enthusiasm coming into this one. Coach, you've had a chance to lead your team in a number of rivalry situations. How important is it that guys stay focused on the most important things to certainly play with emotion without getting emotional?
Well, you walk a tightrope there, Tony. Some guys need to be pushed a little bit and raw-rawed a little bit. Some guys just need to be left alone. But once the ball goes up, which is getting ready to, all that is out the window.
Montana has the ball first.
Look for them to be very disciplined in this first possession and hold on to it for a little while, kind of set the tempo for how they want to play.
In this series, Montana winning both of the regular season matchups and doing it soundly. They had a tough time against Anand Moody as he exploded in that second matchup. There, Missoula straight away. Whitney, a jumper, no good, and they had a really tough time keeping Oki off the offensive glass. And he's not the best in this conference for nothing.
Well, there's a whole lot of people that had trouble keeping Oki off the offensive glass. As you mentioned, the conference leading offensive rebounder. What a rebounding body. Long arms, wide shoulders, and he goes after a whole bunch of them.
Oki fouled on his way up. It's the second team foul in 33 seconds right out of the gate for Montana State.
And what a great pass by Anand Moody. The kid who is their leading scorer. He started off in the last 3 games before the conference tournament. He was averaging almost 30 points. Now he cooled down a little bit in the last game. He only had 12 points, 4 rebounds, but he's a great passer. As I've said in his previous 2 games, I've really grown to appreciate what a well-rounded offensive player he is. He can pass, he moves great without the ball, and he can get it to the basket. He is really, really fast, too.
Oki, 63% from the line this year, but 14 of his last 15 coming into tonight. He splits these two. We'll take a look at the starting lineup from Montana State.
Well, with Montana State, we've talked about Robert Ford III. Tyler Patterson, the 6'8" senior. This is his 4th conference championship game. He's been around for a long time, the sharpshooter from the state of Washington.
2 years ago, he exploded in the championship game. Made the Bobcats nearly impossible to deal with. The starters there for Montana, including Oki, who throws the first punch in this edition of the Brawl of the Wild.
Just another great pass by Anand Moody. When we talk about the Grizzly guards, they actually start 3 guards. They're 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and all 3 of them can do multiple things offensively.
Turner, a great addition to this team, misfires on the 5-footer. Anand Moody has to be guarded tightly, and for good reason. Goes to the reverse side, and Patterson was all over him. Open is Garacki for 3. We're tied at 3 apiece. Garacki, 20% from the outside in February, 43% in March.
Well, they're going to have to find him in transition. First game of the tournament, Tony went for 25 on 5 made threes. He has got a beautiful jump shot, and he runs straight to that 3-point line in transition and toes up.
Thomas, who had a great night starting from the outside, well short on that corner 3.
He scored 11 of the team's first 15 points last night.
Walker stumbling, recollects. Garacki has it knocked out of bounds. Last 5 tournament champions, coach. 4 of the 5 won by these 2 teams.
Whole lot of Montana teams in those 2. Montana State, and Eastern Washington right in the middle.
The Eastern Washington Eagles, back-to-back years, they won the regular season title, knocked out in their first game. Robert Ford III skipping through the lane.
You know, they list Robert Ford III as 6 foot, and as I've said before, I'd bet my mother-in-law's car keys he's a whole lot closer to 5'9", but he's got great balance, he's got great lower body strength, and he can land on 2 feet and power up, usually leads with his shoulder. He's a great finisher around the basket, as you just saw.
Now Robert Ford III comes down with this rebound. Montana State Bobcats shooting the 3 more, hitting the 3 more. Thomas will have none of that. Moody guarded by Turner. You see they have to guard him as far away as he wants to go.
Well, they've got to find him early, just like the Grizzlies got to find Garacki early.
Another stop defensively here for the Montana State defense. A terrific sign for them as they had struggled against the offense of Montana. Patterson from way outside, just short but on line. Whitney in the lane. The foul's before the shot.
Bobcats got to be careful they don't get in foul trouble. That's 3 fouls already in the first 4 minutes.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you. Here tonight, the Big Sky Conference Championship game. The Montana State Bobcats off to a 5-3 lead here in the early going. The Bobcats, the number 5 seed, have been tearing it up in this tournament against the Montana Grizzlies, winners of 7 of their last 8. And the Grizzlies owning the regular season series in that sweep. And here's Whitney leaning inside, fouled. That is the 14th foul already against the Bobcats.
And the super sub for the Bobcats is in now, Sam Leckalot, who has played great in the 2 previous games.
Take a look at the bracket here. It has been as wild as we've ever seen in the Big Sky Conference. Look at all of those upsets.
Tony, we had to get to the 6th game of the tournament before the higher seed ever won. First 5 games, including the 1 and 2 seed, all beat. The first team to win with the higher seed was the Grizzlies.
Brandon Whitney at the free throw line. He has now hit 20 of his last 23. He splits here. It's a 1-point game here early on. Turner left of the lane, back out to 4. Behind the back, nice move, nearly lost it. Olmstead, who has had a phenomenal March after a quiet February. Patterson hits the mid-range jumper, 7-4.
That's the second mid-range pull-up he's hit in a tournament. You wouldn't have seen that a couple years ago from Tyler Patterson. He was mostly a catch-and-shoot guy from the three-point line. 6'8", boy, he gets into a crowd. Now, that wasn't crowded, but he's got a real high release point on his shot. He can really get that ball off.
The Defensive Player of the Year already with the takeaway. The Montana State Bobcats off to a 7-4 lead early on in the championship game. You're watching ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. Principal, let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team. Back here at the Big Sky Conference Championship game, rivalry edition. Montana State Bobcats with the lead over Montana. The first meeting between these two teams in the championship since 1986. It is their first meeting in this tournament in a very long time. 15 years, Coach.
That's hard to imagine it. And with, I mean, you go 15 tournaments and don't play your rivalry. In 1986, when Montana State won it, that was the first year of the three-point shot. And Montana State's coach then, Stu Starner, really was one of the first coaches in the entire nation to really embrace the three-point line. And they made 11 in the championship game and took the Bobcats to an NCAA tournament where they hadn't been for a long time.
Montana State back then, they were a 6 seed and they pulled out the victory. They were a 14-win team. That is the lowest amount of wins in the history of this tournament's championship representative. Alley-oop, Olmstead missed it. The play was there.
A little set play, a little lob coming out of the timeout. It was a pretty good play. Olmstead should have probably just caught it, brought it down, and went back up with it instead of trying to flush it from up there. The Grizzlies, Tony, 1 for their first 6 from the field.
Moody guarded closely. There goes Sawyer. Turns in with the left. No good. Sluggish shooting. Some bizarre mistakes. Little nerves. And a number of the things that go in to factor into a rivalry game.
1 of 7 now for the Grizz, and when Tayson Sawyer catches it, he's going to bring it at you. You better get ready, because he isn't one of those guys who's going to catch it, get it reversed, kind of try to make a cute pass. He's going to bring it right at you.
Montana State, a team that has been able to hit a number of threes in their recent games. In March, they've been a totally different team from the outside. Loose ball, Olmstead. Turner cut off, and now goes to Olmstead. Bullies with the left, can't get it. And an offensive rebound from Leckalot. He has been phenomenal in this tournament.
Leckalot has really played well. His second season double-double last night, 13 and 11.
He's been great from the outside. He misses on his first attempt. Williams and Turner fight for the rebound. And a jump ball. It'll stay with Montana State.
Well, you're not going to see many loose balls out there. You don't see a whole lot of bodies on the floor here in this championship game, Tony. This is leave it out on the floor or go home.
Well, they're definitely going to leave it out on the floor.
Well,
that has been evident right away.
Yep.
Turner running out of time, goes to Lekalot.
Really good defense on the end out of bounds play. That was well scouted and well prepared for defensively.
Patterson steps aside. Not able to hit on that three. Both teams still standing at 7-4. Trying to find some of that offensive rhythm here early on. It's been difficult. Montana State defensively with 4 fouls in a blink.
Grizzlies only 1 3-point attempt. They've got 3 guys on their team that have made 50 or more 3-point shots, Tony.
Moody well short. Olmstead all alone. Timeout, Montana. And Olmstead, one of the better stories in college basketball, will step aside for 30 seconds. The Bobcats on top by 5. Travis DeCure wants to talk it over. So we bring you back here to Boise and the Big Sky Championship game. Coach, John Olmstead, 27 minutes in the month of February. He has turned some heads in the month of March.
Well, Tony, the last 2 regular season games, he goes for 15 and 15. Look at him defend this 3 and then just keep on going down to the other end. That's kind of an NBA type philosophy there, to take a swipe at a 3-point shooter and then just run on to the other end.
Former walk-on has continued to blossom and emerge in this program. A number of guys have stepped it up for the Bobcats. Vasquez, a good look 3, and Josh Vasquez, the definition of star role player. He had 15 in that February meeting.
Josh Vasquez has set in this tournament the Big Sky record for the most games played in a career at 154. Now, this is his 5th year, his COVID year, but that's a whole lot of games in that Grizzly uniform.
And he had a magnificent defensive night in the semifinals. 5th team foul already for Montana State. They have just 1 to give. And we have a ton of time left here in this first half. Moody, well short on his last attempt, will lean in for that 5-footer. On and Moody, what a tournament he's had.
And I talked about earlier the variety of ways he can score. He has a classic jump shot, but there's a whole bunch of things he can do to put the brown thing in the round thing, and you just saw one of them there.
Turner, a good look, too far. Lekalot tips it to himself, and they'll start over.
Lekalot's 2nd offensive rebound. He's turned into a super sub for the Bobcats.
Olmstead again.
A guy that barely got off the bench the whole month of February has contributed in a big way this last couple of weeks.
Moody counters with a 3-pointer. Both teams starting to trade some punches back and forth here.
Such great footwork, such great catch and release. He just is a classic jump shooter with a whole lot of other ways to score, as I just said.
You talk about everything that Olmstead has been, just simply doing his job, waiting his time, being the best version of himself when it matters most.
And Josh Vasquez, the veteran, though, is the low guy on the opposite side there of the defense that should have been there to pick up that role. As much as I love Josh Vasquez, that was his mistake.
There's the Olmstead numbers. Garacki, short. And for Brian Garacki, Montana defended him really well. He had a rough stretch there in February. He's been much better in March, obviously.
Travis DeCure and his staff is one of the best around at taking what you do best and taking it away from you. We saw that a little bit last night with their matchup against Idaho State.
Moody missed a wide open 3. That doesn't happen often. Robert Ford, the 3rd wide right. And Whitney comes down with the rebound. Ford 0 for 2 from the outside in the early going.
Ford was only 2 points.
Whitney over the length. No. Oki the putback. And he's terrorizing on that offensive glass. It was a problem for the Bobcats in their last meeting. It's been a problem so far tonight.
I tell you, he just has a great feel for offensive rebounding. He executed what's called a weak side seal there, where he pushed his guy under, anticipating that ball coming off long, which it usually does. You're shooting it from that other side, and just simply got up and put it back in.
Patterson, the pull-up.
Back-to-back pull-ups for Patterson now, a guy that has been here for 4 years, played in this championship game 4 straight times.
One of those star role players, as you mentioned, from the Danny Sprinkle era. He has evolved his game, not just being a catch-and-shoot guy, but doing so much else. A counter on the other end. It's Josh Vasquez. 47.3% from the outside in March.
Boy, he hit some huge threes when Portland State was trying to come back on Montana, and boy, he hit a couple of daggers. Right now, the Grizz are kind of cooking on the front burner here in the Big Sky Conference Championship game. And starts madness.
And now for tonight's Need to Know, brought to you by the USPS Ground Advantage. Well, Coach, it hasn't happened in 38 years. These two teams meeting in the championship game. The Bobcats won 82-77. And what was an absolute classic, 11 three-pointers. And Montana State, one of the first teams to embrace that. The last 9 champions, by the way, have won 20 or more games in this conference. 17 of the last 18 have won 20 or more. The 2014 Weber State Wildcats the exception. Well, that Montana State team won just 14 games, but they pulled it off, Coach, with outside shooting. That's something Montana State in this year's edition may need to do.
No, no doubt, Tony. That was back, my old buddy Stu Sterner was the head coach back then. And as I said earlier, he was one of the first guys to really embrace the three-point line, Tony. For a long time, guys didn't really shoot many threes. You know, that was a bad shot. Then it just gradually became a big deal in college basketball. But think about how many people now, that's 1986, have never seen a college game without a three-point shot. A three-point line, excuse me.
Robert Ford III launches and hits. Robert Ford III had a season-high 30 against the Grizzlies in January. He was held to just 9 in their previous meeting.
Well, he really gets up high on that jump shot, too. He's really a special player at that size. Just absolutely fearless.
Whitney left alone. And Brandon Whitney, the definition of leadership. We saw it last night. We've seen it all season long. Coaches challenged him to elevate his game. He responded.
Well, Whitney and Vasquez, Vasquez is a year older than Whitney, but they've played 120 games together, Tony, so they have been around this program for an awful long time. Watch On and Mooney there keep the ball out of Patterson's hands.
Another lob for Olmsted. They've had a tough time defending that play.
Well, that was where Vasquez last time. Now, it wasn't him this time. The weak side, the low guy on the weak side of defense has got to get all the way over in the middle of the lane there to pick that roll guy up. They're about a step late on that, and Olmsted's really making them pay. They're just kind of pitching it up there, and he's just dumping it in.
Oki landed hard after not being able to finish that posterizing opportunity. He is fouled, though. Glad to see Oki's okay. Take a look at that replay, Coach.
Let's see who was back there. That was Deshaun Thomas, even though he wasn't low, but that's his help there. And Montana State did a good job of lifting that offside defender, so it wasn't a real clear cut who was supposed to pick that roll up.
We have you covered on Selection Sunday. It all starts at noon Eastern on ESPN with college basketball live to prep the day. At 6, it's Sports Center, followed by bracketology with breakdowns of each region. Then at 8, the women's field of 68 is revealed with continuing coverage right after. Everything is also streaming live on the ESPN app. Here's Brandon Walker. A perfect 8 for 8 when these two teams met in Bozeman. He's had some timely moments in this tournament. Olmsted taking a seat after he's had some highlight moments so far Olmstead with 6. And you need a number of guys to contribute in so many different ways. Oki has been that guy as he goes and sits down. When this team was at their best last year, he was at his best.
Well, he knows his role. He accepts his role and really relishes his role. He knows he's supposed to get to the offensive glass and be a great defender. And, you know, he doesn't average a lot of points, but that's okay. That's his role.
Walker, unable to get a tough finish, but does earn a trip to the free throw line.
Walker, 250 pounds, 6'7". Don't in. He's actually pretty skilled. He's the 10th leading scorer in the league. You let him get down 2 feet in the paint there, and that's going to end up being like eating Captain Crunch with a cold sore, brother. That's going to be a painful experience.
I take it you've done this before. Whenever you say these things. Not
with a cold sore, no.
Not with a canker sore or a cold sore. Or...
But you can't let big Brandon Walker get it that low. You got to do your homework a little early and kind of keep him out of that paint before he gets the ball.
0 for 2 trip at the free throw line. And those types of missed opportunities could loom large tonight.
Yeah. His numbers went down. His time went down last night because Sam Lackalot had played so well.
Whitney deep in the paint again. So versatile because he can score from so many different areas.
Well, that's his game. He likes to get you in the paint, jump stop, gather himself, and go up and hit that mid-range jump shot. He had a great game last night. Only missed 1 shot last night.
Walker pushes it up and in. Both teams have hit their last 4 from the field. Walker's just bullying his way around there now. Someone's going to have to get a little physical back with him, either Deshaun Thomas or big Tazon Sawyers. Sawyer's way big enough to guard him. He's 252 pounds himself, but he's got to, again, kind of put his competitive mindset on, so to speak. Whitney smooth and in control with 7 early points in this game. Brandon Whitney has been there and done that. The honorable mention all-league player. He led the league in assist-to-turnover ratio and was 5th in assists. Tell you, to lead the league in assist-to-turnover ratio means you're pretty efficient, Tony. He takes care of the ball. He makes the appropriate pass. Really a smart player. That game has really slowed down for him, and you can see it over the last couple of years. Crossing over on Patterson. Leaps, leans, and the rebound is grabbed by Lackalot. Loose ball foul called against the Montana Grizzlies. Montana up by 5. It's been a tight one so far in this edition of the Brawl of the Wild. Fabulous week that is Champ Week. That includes the ACC tournament as the Florida State Seminoles with that win earlier today. Jameer Watkins, what a fabulous performance. 34 points and 11 rebounds for him. Wake Forest getting the victory today. NC State moving on, and Boston College as well. We have all the coverage starting tomorrow with the first game at noon Eastern with that quadruple header. We'll take a look at the Big Sky as well as all of the conferences and the bids that Joe Lunardi expects will take place. Boy, the Big 12 this year, as deep as any conference I have ever seen.
We're talking about 9 bids in the Big 12.
Here tonight, there's 1 spot, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Comes down to this one tonight. And it feels like it counts for even more with the tension in this building. Walker deep in the paint again.
Brandon Walker's just taking over. He's not doing anything fancy, just putting his head down, putting that 250-pound body out there, and someone, again, is going to have to make a physical stand against him. Not a terribly skilled player, but you let him dribble it down to where he just shoots it point blank, and he's going to hurt you, which he is hurting you.
Thomas called for the travel as the double came over quickly.
Tony, Montana State, who has shot the ball so well from the three-point line in these 2 tournament games, 42%. Only 1 or 2 of 10 so far, 20%.
Yeah, they, throughout this season, have done a great job shooting threes recently. The last 4 games, Coach, they've averaged 13 three-point makes a game, shooting 45.2% during that span. They had only one game all year against a Division I opponent in Thanksgiving weekend, by the way, where they made 13 three-point shots. They're shooting them more. They're making them more. So is Vasquez. And almost got the bounce here. Robert Ford III, the loose ball. Doesn't have numbers, does have pace. He'll turn around and shoot the mid-range jumper.
Robert Ford III's 4th rebound, 7th point. He is just a flurry of activity. And this is a kid who's played 36 minutes in both games previous to this one, and he's showing no fatigue whatsoever.
The point guard matchup tonight, 7 points for each Whitney and Robert Ford III. And the Grizzlies, who were hot there for a bit, had a scoring drought of about 2.5 minutes here. They've had some bizarre turnovers in that mix.
Well, that wasn't a pretty turnover there. Laulu, thank you. I'm just calling him Oki from now on, you know. He was doing his point guard imitation there, and that didn't work out very well.
Wide open at the top, Walker to the left. Grizzlies hold them to one and done on that possession. Montana up by 1. Neither team has led by more than 5 so far in this game. Oki tries to go to Moody. Great defense there by Lekalot. Grizzlies keep possession. Oki down the boulevard. Blocked by Garaki and a foul.
John Thomas, who had a big game for the Grizzlies last night, almost non-existent so far, Tony. 1,000-point score, second team all-league. He has no points. He does have 4 rebounds. Only attempted 1 shot. Last night, the first game of the tournament, he had 2 points, 2 rebounds, and everyone was kind of scratching his head what happened last night. He comes out and gets 11 of the first 15 points for the Grizzlies, but he's only attempted, as I said, 1 shot so far and has no points.
Oki, with his takes to the rim, he appears like he wants to be on a poster by the end of this night.
Well, he is just a high-level athlete.
2 fouls, by the way, for Garaki. And that can loom large as this game continues.
Garaki hit that 1 3-point shot in transition early in the game and has not scored since then, but they can ill afford. Remember, he had a foul real early, maybe the first foul of the game. And he's a kid that had 25 in their first game, the opening game of the tournament. They can ill afford to have him out of the game for very long.
(26-24) Montana. Patterson looking for the lead. Long, a 2 for 12 start from the outside. A loose ball foul is going to send Vasquez to the free throw line. This could be an enormous part of the game tonight, Coach. Montana just 5 of 8 from the free throw line so far tonight. But recently they've been exceptional from there. Vasquez is about as automatic as it gets. So is Moody. Brandon Whitney came into tonight 19 of his last 22. Oki was 14 of his last 15. And Thomas 23 of his last 24. One thing DeCure's teams do, they shoot well from the line. This is a team 80% from the stripe.
Well, it's their 3rd straight year that they shot 80%, which is a school record, Tony. They've always been really good free throw shooters. I don't know whether he just recruits good free throw shooters or, you know, they have a drill but they've always been very effective free throw shooters.
Josh Vasquez trusting this coaching staff. He came to Montana with 2 other players. Playing time was minimal. The others left the program. He stuck it out, and it has paid off. Vasquez with that rebound.
Well, he has been a mainstay here. Again, his 5th year, his COVID year, and he has, seems like the Dead Sea was only sick when he started playing here. He has been here forever. That's Robert Ford III's second foul, Tony. So you got Garaki and Ford with 2 fouls apiece. Ford is still on the floor.
Sawyer called for a travel. Turnover on the Grizzlies without a field goal for 3.5 minutes, but they lead by 4 tonight in Boise. Continue on here with Champ Week. Let's take a look at the SEC bracket. 2 games from earlier today. The Georgia Bulldogs soundly beaten on the boards today against Missouri, but held the Tigers to just 19% from beyond the arc, 4 of 21 as they advance. Arkansas will play coming up tomorrow with that quadruple header coming your way. Take a look at bracketology here. Starch Madness in Boise. It has been the craze here. Starch Madness has been fitting, especially with all of those upsets. Take a look at the 1 seeds according to Joe Lunardi and the 2 seeds as well. Tennessee being the top #1 seed.
Well, I don't know if there's been a conference tournament yet, Tony. He's had the top 2 seeds knocked out in the first game like happened here last week.
Absolutely wild. Turner, alley-oops, and another phenomenal play by Olmstead.
Wow, that's 3 straight lob dunks to Olmstead, and he just goes up and gets them and throws them down. I'd go to him again, I think.
Moody kept in check for the most part. They've made sure he doesn't get too loose too often. Oki goes outside to Vasquez. Clock down to 5. Let's see what he's got. Whips it back for Oki. Nice pass. And Oki beats the buzzer, misses the shot.
Nice penetration of Vasquez. Oki just not a great skill guy down there.
Vasquez the block. Whitney the save. We'll take a look at Olmstead again.
Olmstead now 4 of 6, and I think all of them are just lob dunks. No, he got that one breakaway layup.
He's had, 3 lob dunks.
And a breakaway layup.
Breakaway dunk, yep.
Should be shooting a pretty good percentage with that, 4 of 6.
Definitely going to be the case. He actually missed an alley-oop dunk of all things. He was too strong with it. Here is Lecolot, and boy, has he been lighting it up lately. 58% from 3 the last 5 games.
Coming off a 13-point, 11-rebound game, which both were his highs for the year, but that was his second double-double. Now, he's a kid that has been in this championship game before. He got minutes his first 2 years with Danny Sprinkle there at Montana State.
Montana ending a field goal drought of over 5 minutes. They take the lead back. Miller short. Vasquez the board.
Montana State with only 1 turnover this entire half, Tony.
Brandon Whitney tonight with 9 points. He's been the CEO of this offense and in control. That was on line but long. Lecolot the rebound. Take a look at what Lecolot did last game. In this game, he passes inside to Olmstead. He's had a fabulous start to this one. He'll go to the free throw line. The Arizona State transfer was part of that team that had a first 4 win in Dayton.
Lecolot was 3 of 6 from the 3-point line, but he hit his first 3, Tony. He broke that game open early on. 2 of them from the left baseline, left corner, and then 1 kind of straight away. Well, he's got a pretty jump shot.
Sam Lecolot, 32.4% from 3 on the season. And as I mentioned before, 58% the last 5 games. Robert Ford III catching a breather here and playing with 2 fouls. Iraqi also has 2 fouls. An important 1:43 left here in this first half. And we're tied up at 30 apiece.
Well, the Bobcats' 2 leading scorers, Lecolot and Goraki, first and second scorer, both on the bench with 2 fouls.
Moody fouled on the 3-point shot. And a lot of times that's every bit as good as making the 3. He is a fabulous free throw shooter.
Well, you've heard me say before, the Cardinal center defense is fouling a jump shot shooter, and multiply that times 10, fouling a 3-point shooter, and multiply it by at least another 10 to foul this guy. Look at that beautiful release by Moody.
Anan Moody was about to hang it up. He had his second child on the way, wasn't sure he could balance fatherhood and basketball, thought he might go home to North Dakota, play Division II. Travis DeCure's culture is built on allowing coaches and players to be dads first. Coach Flores actually talked to him about how he had to quarantine for 2 weeks so he could be there for the birth of his child. Coach DeCure told Anna Moody not to worry when his child was going to be born during the season. He actually told him to stay out, don't come back. Don't come back before the child was born and don't come back after. And he kept his word. And according to Anna Moody, he can't describe how much of an emotional uplift that gave him. Sure. And the trust that was built there, said he'll bridge the gap between who he is as a person and a player. Said, I want to win for him more than I want to win for me.
All 3 free throws, that was huge to take a 3-point lead going into the last minute of play.
Miller. The pull-up is no good. Knapp the rebound.
Both teams going pretty deep to their bench here in the first half.
Thomas. A raucous start in the semifinals. Quiet in the first half of this one this evening. Vasquez nails another one. Josh Vasquez with 11 points. That's his 3rd 3-point hit. Timeout.
Watch the veteran Vasquez here. Great footwork, great release on this. Great ball movement by the Grizzlies. We'll come back and take a look at it here in just a minute. Grizz up 6.
So we bring you back here tonight to Boise. Josh Vasquez, who stuck around into this program, embraced his role, a guy that was seldom on the floor a year ago, and throughout most of his career, he has blossomed in this final season, Coach.
Great shot fake there because it was short and compact. A lot of guys overstep their shot fake, and then they got to kind of recock their gun, so to speak. That was a very, very efficient shot fake into his shot. Vasquez's 3rd made 3 of the game. He's coming off a 15-point game in their win against Portland State and then 8 against Idaho State.
A much-needed basket here for Montana State, as the Grizzlies had built their biggest lead of 6. It's been tight the entire way, but you could feel the Grizzlies grabbing a huge amount of momentum. Final shot here of the half. Montana looking to control it.
That's Turner's first basket of the game, Tony. He's had back-to-back 9-point games.
Whitney with the strong take. And the Grizzlies take a 6-point lead into the half here tonight. Vasquez hits the half-court shot that won't count. The Montana Grizzlies responding to every surge that the Bobcats put on. They'll take this 6-point lead to the half. Coming up at the half, Dalen Cuff and Tom Crean. They'll have the coverage from our ESPN2 studios. Champ Week is covered. You're watching ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the Big Sky Men's Basketball Championship. Welcome on back to Idaho Central Arena. Here at the half, the biggest run has been 6, the biggest lead has been 6, and that is the difference here at the half. Welcome on back alongside the Hall of Fame coach Joe Cravens. I'm Tony Parks. Coach, you put a big emphasis on the point guard matchup tonight, and it's lived up to exactly what you thought.
Well, Robert Ford III with a couple fouls. He had to set out and spend some time on the bench, but he's got 7 points and 3 assists. He can really create off the dribble and just a great finisher around the basket. Look how high he gets up on that jump shot. Change of pace, change of direction, Tony. You talk about shooky. Robert Ford can do that. Whitney's the only guy in the game who's played all 20 minutes. He's tied with his running mate, Josh Vasquez, with 11 points. Whitney's gone 5 of 9, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. He has 2 assists. He and Vasquez, it's hard to talk about one without the other. It's almost like they're joined at the hip. They both have 11.
And take a look at the first half stats here, Coach. Montana State, who has been exceptional from the outside, shooting 45.2% from deep and making an average of 13 threes a game. In their last 4, they're just 3 of 14 at the start of this one.
21%, Tony, which is not going to get it done for them. They needed to come to this game and shoot a high percentage and probably make 8 or 9 3-point shots. to hang with the Grizzlies. But as I said a couple of times, Travis security staff, one of the best around at figuring out what you do the best and taking it away from you. So far, they've taken away a whole lot of open three-point looks. 3 of 14 are the Bobcats.
Montana with the first second half possession. Whitney had it knocked away, had it taken away. Great defense, Walker. Turner walled off. Garacki steps in. The 15-footer short. Thomas that rebound. On the other side of it, Montana State opponents have hit 10 or more threes in each game during this tournament. They allowed that just twice in the last 26 games.
What a great crossover dribble by On and Mooney. He just continues to impress me, Tony, with his ball skills. That was about as good a crossover and then explosion as you're going to see.
10 for Moody. The lead is 8, and that's the biggest of the night. And a game that has been so tight the entire way. Turner, the spin, and boy, what a timely bucket. He had a number of those last night.
The points he scored in this tournament have been big points. He's only had 9 and 9, but that was, as you say, a pretty timely one there.
He's 1 for 6 before that make. Whitney with the left, the block by Walker. Thomas left open for 3. He's been fabulous from the outside at 41%. He had 20 and 10 in their last meeting.
John Thomas' first basket of the day, Tony, only 0 for 1. He does have 4 rebounds and an assist, but has just not got a whole lot of looks.
Walker too strong.
That's the easiest shot Walker has had, and shot it too strong. He's had some really great finishes.
Oki in the paint again, and the biggest lead is now at double digits. And Garacki is hurt.
Well, this is not going to help the Bobcats any if Garacki is hurt. He's their second leading scorer and also second leading rebounder. He had to set out some minutes because he and Ford both with 2 fouls in the first half.
You can see it early on in this second half, the start for the Montana Grizzlies. In these early moments of that second half, you talk about how important that is as Montana has hit the ground running here.
Well,
hoping Garacki's going to be all right.
Excuse me, Tony. The first 5 minutes of the second half, how many times have I told you how important that is? And Grizzlies all of a sudden have turned a 6-point lead with less than 2 minutes into an 11-point lead. Garacki looks like he's all right. He's a pretty tough kid.
I think he'll be okay. He followed Coach Logie from Point Loma. He had a career-high 3 blocks last night. Montana State with the clutch defensive plays in that one. Hoping to pick up some more of the stops here in this next stretch as the lead has now grown to 11 for Montana.
Watch On and Mooney on Patterson doing a good job of keeping the ball out of his hands. And
Walker and 1.
The Bobcats have just killed the Grizzlies on that pick and roll. The big kid Olmstead with 3, and now that one for Walker. They do a good job. I keep talking about who's supposed to get there, but they do a good job of lifting that weak side offense, so you're way out on the floor when they roll to the basket. That's really good offensive coaching by Matt Logie.
The guards have been spot on with those passes. The Montana State Bobcats have had a brutal start shooting from 3 and also from the free throw line. They're 3 of 14 from deep. They're just 1 of 5 at the charity stripe. Oki has been fabulous at the rim.
He may miss a lot of ones around the basket. He is not going to miss that. Kind of showing who's the tallest hog at the trough here in this second half is Oki.
He has been playing with some serious fire here tonight. Tough matchup defensively, and Walker is able to get that one to give him 8 points now.
I tell you, Brandon Walker just puts his head down. He is sawmill strong at 250 when he goes to the basket.
Moody, what a take.
Really talented player.
Moody now with 1,000 points in his Montana career. That is in 2 seasons.
First team all-conference. All Big Sky Conference. He's had a great career. This is actually his 7th year in college. Now, he hasn't played all 7. He had an injury when he was at North Dakota.
It's like me, my 7 years in college. I didn't attend all 7.
You spent 7 years in 5th grade, as I recall.
Best years of my life.
Yeah.
Field trips every month. Here's Whitney with his team up by 11. Gonna back up, maybe get a running start. Moody, guarded by Patterson. Fakes him, leans in. Short, Walker the board. And a big stop and a much-needed stop here for Montana State. Now they'll try to answer.
That's been a pretty good matchup, Moody and Patterson.
Turner with another soft turnaround.
Turner 9-9, as I said earlier, in the first 2 games.
Moody guarded by Turner. Turner gets the steal. Ahead for 4. He'll pull up for 3. Loose ball. Walker's there again. He's been a nightmare in the paint and around the rim for the Grizzlies to deal with. He has 10.
I'm not sure Walker could jump over a small-town phone book, Tony, but he cuts out so much space with that big 250-pound body. People just kind of bounce off of him, and then he goes. Well, what he does do, he rebounds with 2 hands anytime he goes, and he's got a pretty good set of hands.
Turner, another steal. Takes it all the way. Shot too far. Loose ball foul. It's on Whitney. And the Bobcats, with a response, after getting down double digits, have cut it down to 7. But the big men with big plays here in the second half. Okie, he's okay. And the Grizzlies are up by 7. Can't have more fun than you have with Champ Week. And it has been a blast here in Boise and all across the country. The Big 12 men's tournament is earlier today. Dan Skillings Jr. 25-7 against a shorthanded Kansas team. They win by 20 and advance to the quarterfinals. You see all those matchups there with quarterfinal Thursday, a quadruple header. It all starts with its first game there at 12:30 Eastern time right here on ESPN2. Tonight, Coach, 7-point game, one that the Grizzlies were up by 11, but a nice surge here for the Bobcats to respond.
Yeah, so Montana, who put 4 guys in double figures in their win against Idaho State last night, Tony, have 4 in double figures already. Great balance, 12 by Okie, 12 by Moody, 11 Whitney, and 11 Vasquez. Deshaun Thomas, who led them in scoring yesterday with only 3.
First free throw attempts in this tournament for Eddie Turner III. He splits. And for the Montana State Bobcats, they are just 2 of 8 from the free throw line.
And they continue to struggle from 3. 3 of 16, Tony, 18%.
Whitney against Lekala. It's Vasquez. It's short. Olmstead the board. Ford up the court. Across now to Lekala.
Really nice draw kick by Whitney. Vasquez had his feet set. I thought that one was down.
This mid-range jumper doesn't fall for Eddie Turner III. Moody comes up the right side.
Montana, before that rebound, was out rebounding the Bobcats 23-18. The Bobcats still with only 2 turnovers.
Whitney crosses, backs up, hand in the face, jumper's flat. And Vasquez chases down the O-board. It's one thing to struggle with the Grizzlies on the offensive glass. It's another thing to give up one of those.
Yes, this is an interesting game, Tony. I wouldn't call it an up and down game, but I mean they're not walking it either. It's kind of a interesting pace for both teams in my mind, dominated by Montana's guards the whole evening.
Whitney with a clock down to 6, looks into Thomas. Here is Moody. clanks the three. Offensive rebound, Thomas. It's off of Lekalot. It'll stay here.
Nice job by Thomas. A two-handed rebound up in the crowd. And, you know, a lot of guys would have thought that was a reward type rebound and taking it back up. Thomas actually was looking to throw it back out. He was coached by his dad in Durham, North Carolina, and you can tell his dad did a great job with him. Really well coached and really shooter, really understands the game.
Thomas will earn this trip to the line. This is an important trip there. Is after building an 11-point lead, Montana went a bit cold there for a moment. Well, Thomas will go to the stripe.
They had a couple turnovers as well, which didn't help them. They now have 7 turnovers. Bobcats still only with 2.
Deshaun Thomas, 23 of his last 24. Now make it 24 out of 25 as he has been fabulous at the line. This team has been fabulous at the line all throughout the year.
Second team all-conference selection, Tony. He's had a nice year. He's the Grizzlies' 3rd leading scorer, 2nd leading rebounder. He's been a big part of their success this year.
Didn't get the second one. His team up by 7. Eddie Turner, the 3rd, goes into that paint again, leans again, and scores again. Eddie Turner, the 3rd, with a nice start to this second half. And he's helped will them back to a 5-point deficit.
I'm really surprised he's getting to the basket quite as easy on Whitney. Whitney's going to have to kind of tighten the angle up a little bit.
Knapp had it stripped, had it stolen. Lekalot. Here comes Ford with the hesitation move. The floater on the base, got his own. Now left open for a corner 3. Robert Ford III. From star role player to star.
And that doesn't happen. Does he not have the instincts to shoot that, rebound it on the opposite side of the basket, go to the corner, get squared up, and knock it down? And he's brought his team way back to a 2-point deficit.
It's a 10-1 run. And another stop for the Bobcats. Here comes Ford. Olmsted. What a shining star he's been in the month of March. Patterson, Montana State leads. And a crispy 3-piece to put them up by 1.
How about that? Tyler Patterson, his 3rd pull-up of the game, creating his own shot off the dribble, something he couldn't do, I don't think, in his previous years with Montana State. He's playing in his 4th conference championship game. He's been around, Tony, and he's kind of showing that he's been around.
They've erased an 11-point deficit. The Bobcat fans making noise, and with 1 second left on the shot clock, Thomas is fouled. He'll go to the line. The Montana State Bobcats coming off of back-to-back championships. Robert Ford III left open in the corner, hits the 3. Patterson follows it up with the 3. And when it gets late in the East, it gets wild in the West.
Well, Tony, the Bobcats have battled all the way back from a double-digit deficit and taken a 1-point lead with just under 12 minutes to play. This is the stretch run for the trip to the NCAA. It's win, go to the NCAA, lose, and set it home.
A 13-1 run. The Grizzlies without a field goal in the last 5:15. Montana State looking to win back-to-back-to-back Big Sky championships. Montana looking for their first Big Sky title since 2019. Thomas is at the line. Coach DeCure talked about how he said COVID killed our culture. He said, I'll be honest about it. You recruit people that you don't know. You don't meet them. So you don't have a feel for their personality until you get into the trenches. He said, we didn't have what it took to fight through the tough times together. He said, we have that now.
No, and I believe that what he said about Travis DeCure puts a high precedent on personal relationships with his players, and I think in the COVID and the transfer portal, you start bringing guys in. Like you said, you just don't know. You don't know, where they're coming from, what kind of heart, what kind of mind they have.
Well, Olmsted, you never know where he's coming from, but you know what kind of heart and kind of mind he has. He has been all business here so far tonight.
9 points so far for Olmsted. finished his regular season career with back-to-back 15-point games.
There's Coach Travis DeCure coming off his 200th win. You talked about the personal relationships being so important to him and that value on fatherhood. He has several staff members with children 6 years and under. He makes sure that they're able to pick them up from school, make it to dance recitals, anything necessary all the time. Puts a high value on that. And he's a man that walks the walk. His team led by 11. They're down by 2.
Montana State still with just 2 turnovers.
Vasquez, nice cut. Oki the find. We're all knotted at 53.
Remember, Oki threw one away like that in the first half, trying to get it to a cutter.
Open in the corner. Lekalot misses. O-board Olmsted. They'll start over, but they won't slow down. Turner, the 2-man game to Olmsted. One bounce, spin, held up by Oki, scores over him. 55-53.
Olmsted, really nice footwork in the post. And there's a kid who barely got off the bench the whole month of February. And he's just kind of been showing out here in the last couple of weeks.
Moody tried to go back to Oki. It's recovered by Vasquez. The clock is down to 9. Whitney, the guy you want with the ball in his hands, lost it, and it's taken away. Turner, another steal for Montana State. Here he is on that baseline with the reverse. What a second half for Eddie Turner III, the Ivy Leaguer who spent 4 years at Columbia. He worked on Wall Street during his past summer after graduating with a degree back in May.
All of them have been attacking the basket too, Tony. None of them have been, you know, deep threes or pull-ups. All of them just going right to the basket is Eddie Turner III.
Wouldn't be the Brawl of the Wild without some tense arguing with a foul call right over there. Teams will go to their bench. You take a look. 11 on 11. Moody wiping away at the end. The initial foul call was on Patterson.
I told you that was a pretty good matchup the whole game. I've been kind of watching those two. They've been getting after each other pretty good. Patterson, I've mentioned, his 4th straight conference championship game. Moody is no shrinking violet now, I'll tell you.
We'll see if they have anything extra here. Common foul against Patterson. And this would be Patterson's 3rd foul.
You know, I think you ought to put a new rule in a situation like that. You tell both those guys, all right, you guys do 25 push-ups and we're going to return and play. How about that? 25 apiece and let's go.
Did you see anything extra out of that? I know he wipes away at the end of this.
Well, I think Moody kind of pushed him a little bit, but, you know, just let's play on. Let's play on. Let's don't make a big deal out of that.
Continue to take an extra look at this. Coach Montana State, in their 4th straight year being in the championship game, trying to win it for the 3rd straight time. And this was not the same team. They lost 78% of their point production, 66% of their rebounding. And that team right here is back in the championship game, a very different version. But when it comes to mindset and culture and all the positive things you want in a program, they have all of that and more.
They do. You know, who we haven't seen for a while was Brian Goracki. You know, he went out after he hit the deck real hard, went to the locker room. He's in the huddle there, but he's not returned back to the game. Goracki is their 2nd leading scorer, 2nd leading rebounder. They could sure use him in this last 10 minutes.
Recently, this series has been split over the past 6. Montana swept the series this year. That was the usual way of things for decades there, Coach. For a long time, Montana just owned this series. As great as this rivalry has been, it was a long drought there for quite a while for Montana State.
Danny Sprinkle came in, kind of turned things around.
Changed everything.
I'm sure Matt Logie will continue down that same path.
They're set for this rivalry to continue to blossom more and more. Travis DeCure, you see him over there Montana has won this tournament 11 times. This is their 21st trip to the championship game. So the discussion continues, and
foul on 11 blue stands. After the whistle, we have a dead ball contact technical foul on 11 white. Blue will shoot 2 shots and get possession of the ball.
Well, that is an enormous swing, an enormous moment in this game. The common foul, which would have resulted in Montana retaining possession, that stands. So it's just a personal and team foul. But on the opposite side of it, Moody now gets a technical foul, which will be a personal and a team foul. 2 free throws for the Bobcats, and they will now have the ball.
That is quite a turnaround, Tony. The Grizzlies got to be careful here. This is starting to slip away from 10 minutes left, but they wasn't too long ago they had a 10-point lead, and all of a sudden the Bobcats have just blown by them. Goracki still not in. Sam Lackalot taking his place.
This is now the biggest lead of the night for Montana State, and they can add to it with possession. A 16-3 run. Turner, he's been fabulous in the second half, and that one was well short. Oki comes down with that board. Oki's 6th rebound of the night. Montana has struggled offensively in this recent window of the game during this 16-3 run for Montana State.
I'll tell you why they struggled offensively. Montana State's guarding the heck out of them. That was terrific individual defense by Patterson there.
Vasquez off balance. Oki trying for the O-board, couldn't get it. Here comes Robert Ford III, the defensive player of the year. All conference honors for him. 3rd personal foul on Moody. This is the 15th foul on Montana. The Bobcats with 3.
And Moody goes to the bench with his 3rd foul.
For the Grizzlies, 1 of their last 8. For the Bobcats, they've been hot as of late. Lackalot just to the right.
The Grizzlies need to score here in the worst way, Tony, almost for the confidence. They just haven't scored forever.
Oki has to go outside to Whitney. Whitney trying to get a step, takes a solid screen from Oki, no call. Vasquez, short, Oki the tap, another one. Olmsted the board. And the drought continues for the Grizzlies. Patterson out of the corner, and the rout has been on in this second half for Montana State. They're up by 9. The run in that rout is now 19-3.
What a great job by Patterson getting to that corner, creating an uncontested passing lane as Ford drove that baseline. And Patterson, who's created some shots off the dribble, now creating a shot off just finding a spot against the defense. Really good half-court defense or offense by the Bobcats.
Montana State on a roll, and they're up by 9 now with a 19-3 run. Coach, you don't become the defensive MVP of a conference without going through a lot.
Look at that great lateral movement there. I'm telling you what, a lot of times guys will get the defensive player of the year because they get a lot of steals. This kid can really guard you, and he hits a deck, and boy, he is right back up. He is just tougher than a pine knot, Tony. Great job by Patterson getting to that open shot, but Robert Ford III is just setting the tempo with his aggression and his toughness. Now, he's got 2 steals that with his obviously helps his team, but you know, when you're a big guy or wing player and you're watching how hard he's playing, he's getting knocked down, he's back up, you know, you can't help but play pretty hard yourself.
Where does it start for Montana on offense? Whitney has been the CEO of this offense. He's been the answer so many times, and they have found themselves in trouble. Vasquez has hit some outside shots. Thomas off the mark. Rebound to Lecolot. Another empty possession now for Montana. And Montana State has been able to pour it on.
He just can't buy a basket right now, Tony.
Turner has been in control in this second half. Finds Olmsted deep. And he'll go to the free throw line. The Bobcats up by 9. Getting late in Boise. Crazy things can happen during Champ Week, and especially when it involves a rivalry. The Montana State Bobcats trailed by 11 in this second half, now lead by 9. We'll take a look at the ACC men's tournament bracket. Quarterfinal quadruple header all set there for you. Earlier today, Boston College, with that win over Clemson. What a great performance by Jaden Zachary in that game. 22 points, 7 rebounds. In the first game tomorrow, getting started early at noon Eastern time. Well, Coach, now Montana State has their chance to go up by 11. 2 free throws here for Olmsted. The son of a copper miner who moved to Arizona in junior high, spent 9 years in Chile, grew up playing soccer and basketball, fluent in Spanish, a very unknown prospect for this Montana State team. And all of a sudden, he has flourished in March.
Tony, at halftime, the Bobcats had no one in double figures. They now have 5 guys in double figures. Very reminiscent of what they did in the opening game in this tournament against Weber State, where they exploded for 66 points in the second half and hit 14 straight field goals. Now, this hasn't been quite that dynamic, but boy, they have kind of taken the game over at both ends. They're scoring, and I'm telling you, Montana has not scored forever and a day.
Ford makes it a 12-0 run and a 12-point lead. The Montana Grizzlies, 1 of 12. The last 7 minutes, you see that graphic, 22-3 run. Moody goes to Vasquez. Obord Thomas, a foul.
Nice rebound by Thomas, really getting up in a crowd there. He's got great hands, and I think I said this before, every ball he goes after with both hands. You see a lot of guys try to rebound with one hand. He's definitely a two-handed rebounder, and a good one at that.
The Montana Grizzlies will take a timeout. 6:43 left to play here in regulation. Coach, they've had a tough time finding rhythm on offense. Montana State defensively has just stymied them, and then even when Montana has a look, they've misfired.
Well, that last shot by Vasquez was a pretty good look, and they haven't had a whole lot of good looks. Now, we talked about after the last break, Robert Ford III spearheading that defense. Maybe not so much with steals and deflections, but just his effort. And Olmsted has just come alive once again. That was in the first half. He's not done anything that's very tricky. Everything's up around the rim or that one run out. He has contributed in a huge way. 13 points now for Olmsted.
You would never guess that he had the February that he had. He played 27 total minutes in February.
Guess they were resting.
March.
They were resting him, Tony.
He's been a household name.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He finished the season with back-to-back 15-point games. And I tell you, he has been all over it here in the conference tournament.
The best defensive player in this conference, shows why. Another takeaway, and it's Robert Ford III. Phenomenal defensive performance for him. Ford stops on the block, hits the turnaround to go up 14.
Ford's third steal of the game. And as I said, he is just setting the table for his entire team.
Water. Vasquez shakes, floats from 10. That's short. They have gone as cold can get. One of their last 14, they haven't scored in over 5 minutes.
That's what you call cold as a mother-in-law stare, Tony.
Olmsted out to Turner. No. Moody quickly up the court. A goaltend. They'll take it any way they can get it.
No question.
Ford trying to catch his breath there and may have taken a shot. Well, this guy empties the tank on every single possession, Coach.
Remember, he got banged up a little bit yesterday right in front of us here about half court and got hit across the thigh. And I thought that could have been a serious injury. And like I say, he's a pretty darn tough kid. He just gets up and plays on. There's the steal, great anticipation, and then a great decision. And then Patterson makes a great decision by not pulling the trigger on that one.
Turner drives in, scores again, and the water is getting red for the men in maroon. Whitney barreling over Ford, and he just keeps taking punches. And Coach, you may have a 3 seed, you may have a 5 seed, but don't kid yourself. This is a heavyweight fight.
Boy, they are both teams laying it on the line and playing hard. You got to think the Grizzlies are starting to not panic, but obviously very concerned, down 14 with 5:20 to go. Remember, they had a 10-point lead with only a couple minutes gone in the second half. Vasquez trying a little trick there that you've seen every once in a while, bounce it off a guy's back and pick it up, but you got to hit a guy right in the right place, and that one just hit him and fell straight to the floor, and it ended up being a turnover.
The Bobcats from down 11 to up 14. Turner out of the corner for 3. Can't get the bounce. Moody saves it in. Lecolot has it. Timeout Bobcats. And everything, and I mean everything, going right for Montana State.
What great effort by the Bobcats there, Tony, led by who else? Robert Ford III with an unbelievable hustle play. After this tournament, he's going to have to sit in a tub of ice for a while. He is just getting banged everywhere. Watch him fly out of nowhere and get on the floor here. Good hustle by Moody, and then Lecolot on that loose ball.
Well, you were wondering what this team was going to be at this time of the year. At the beginning, you knew it was going to be a team that had to go through some growing pains. How good could they be when it comes to March? From Garacki to Olmsted, Lecolot. Some guys coming out of nowhere, some guys being counted on to do more than they ever had before. Robert Ford III, he was counted on to pick up where the previous era left off, and he has done that. 26% from 3 last year, 42.7% this year.
And how about Olmsted? He just kind of comes out of nowhere, and I'm sure some of the coaching staff there at Montana State are thinking, well, maybe we should have played him a little bit more in February. You know, like I say, maybe they rested him for the conference tournament.
And it's quite possible he wasn't ready yet.
Well, I tell you, he's a big old kid, too. Look at him. They list him at 6'10", 235, but he's a long 6'10", too. He's got arms from here to Hoboken.
16-2 run in the last 6 minutes and 12 seconds. This game has turned upside down. The Grizzlies, led by 11, appeared to be in control. A veteran team, the most experienced team in this conference. Alley-oop, held up on the play was Olmsted. You could see that play coming. Boy, they had to grab him early.
They have just fed Olmsted a steady diet of rolling right down the middle of that lane. And I keep thinking, who's supposed to pick him up? But Coach Logie has done a great job of lifting those offensive players, and everyone is above the free throw line, so it's really hard then to get down there and pick that roll up. That's his pretty nice half-court offense.
The Bobcats have done very few things poorly throughout some of the night. Free throw shooting has been a part of that. And they've had a tough time with some three-point shooting issues here and there, but the timely threes have been going down. And in this run, they've been pushing all the right buttons. Up 16. A career high 16 as well. And the biggest lead is 16. Dejon Thomas, boy, did they ever need that one.
Boy, they did. I would throw down to him a few more times. And Sam Lecklot did a pretty good job on defense there, made him score over him. But Dejon Thomas, as I've said, second team all Big Sky's their third leading scorer. Pretty versed down there around the low block.
It's a 13-point game with 4:23 left. And Olmsted will need to be attended to here.
Grizzlies with a couple timeouts.
This is an extra moment for them.
Yes.
To group together. They have time, but they need to go now.
Yeah, Bobcats only with one timeout, so this probably helps the Bobcats a little bit more than it does the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies with 17 fouls and Montana State with 6, so both teams in the 1-on-1, but not the double bonus yet. What an unexpected turnaround, Tony.
Well, and one of the best steps to winning can be eliminating losing plays. Montana State with just 2 turnovers in this game. Montana with 12.
And that was in the first 10 minutes of the game. They had two turnovers at halftime. Have not made a turnover in the second half. And it's not like the Grizzlies hadn't been getting into them pretty good.
Robert Ford III in control all the time. The step back J, smooth, and a 15-point lead.
Boy, he creates.
And now a takeaway. Ford circles back around. He'll be in no hurry with his team in command.
How about that? MVP, I think, isn't he, Tony? If they hang on here. And
I don't know how you vote any other way. What a move by Ford.
Oh, my.
Putting on a show here in the late moments at Idaho Central Arena.
He's just kind of showing off now.
Moody throws it out for Roki. Montana on the ropes in this heavyweight fight. Badly in need of a basket. Oki lost it for a second, got it back, blocked by Olmsted, collected by Patterson. That has been the story of this second half. The Montana State defense locking in. While a number of guys from Montana State have been bruised up here.
Yes, they have. I don't know why.
They've continued to surge.
He's in pain, too. I mean, he's not kind of rolling around to get a break. He's really hurting. Now, that might be a shoulder issue.
Take a look at this replay. Olmsted just doing his job. No matter where that ball is, no matter where Oki is, in the great position. Took a shot after that play, but a career high 16 from walk-on to rock-on. Olmsted. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team. Well, Coach, one plan that has worked for Montana State has been involving Olmsted. He's been tremendous on both sides. Emerged all throughout March, but took a shot here and had to be helped off the court a bit there. He seemed to be in some serious pain.
Yeah, he got hit across the chops there pretty good, it looks like.
Seemed to be holding his side as well while walking off.
I thought at first it was his shoulder, but you know, you were there, he got hit. And the assistant coaches are kind of pointing to his shoulder. I don't know if he took a beating on that. Let's just put it that way. Tony, Montana with 10 turnovers this half. They had 4 at halftime. Now they have 14. And that certainly has not helped their cause a whole lot.
Had a decent start shooting from 3 and then finished the first half 4 for 8. Since then, 1 of their last 7. 2 of their last 10 lately from everywhere out there on the field. Montana State 6 of their last 8. They had a storm against Weber State where they had 14 straight shots. And it hasn't been 14 in a row, Coach, but it's been an unbelievable run for this team who turned a double-digit deficit into a double-digit lead for the second time in this tournament.
Well, the 2 guards, we've talked about Ford all along. Hold on just a second.
We reviewed 2 plays there. The first play was the goaltending call earlier. The call stands. The second play we reviewed was the last play for a possible flagrant foul. Rule the basketball play.
So the goaltend stands, and then the previous play, nothing additional to it, just a basketball play. 3:12 left to go, 17-point game, Montana State with the ball. And there's Montana State, no turnovers in this half. They have 2 total turnovers in the entire game. And this guy, although not the lead point guard for this team, has been every bit as in control in this second half, Coach.
11 second half points for Eddie Turner III, Tony, and he's kind of led the charge. He and Ford, this backcourt, has just kind of dominated this second half.
Robert Ford III backs it out, gives it to Patterson. Here's Walker driving, a paint-breaking drive, a back-breaking layup.
Wow.
The lead is 19 for the defending champs. Moody from way outside. Montana State, another loose ball.
The Grizzlies have scored 20 second half points, Tony.
Vasquez a chase down block. And this was after they got off to a great second half start.
Yes, they had, were they up 10 or 12?
11.
Well, I was going to say that next.
Yeah, no, you were. Yeah, you
10, 12, 11, and then all
like
of a
you
sudden.
when you're playing Keno.
But 10 turnovers and 20 second half points. I would have never guessed it out of this veteran team.
So the teams will head to their bench. And Coach, some key players in this game that have had to take some extra time. A couple of them, Garacki and Olmsted, going to the locker room.
Garacki hadn't been back in, I don't think.
No, they've had some bumps and bruises, but they've continued to land some counter punches out there on the court. What can you say about Matt Logie? You want to talk about facing adversity and having to battle back? They had a couple of very discouraging losses during the season. They stood there as the number 5 seed. They beat every team in the conference except for one, Coach. And that was Montana. And both those losses against the Grizzlies, they're being soundly. They had a tough time with the explosiveness of Montana's offense. They had a tough time keeping them off the offensive glass. They had to continue to learn and grow. And they did that and more.
You know, I was thinking about this game today, Tony. Montana beats Montana State twice, and like you say, pretty handily. And I was thinking, you know, you just wonder if Montana State thinks they can win this game, or they're just happy to be here. Well, I guess we've answered that question.
Coach Logie said they started a lap behind. Now they're about ready to run through the finish line. and look for a moment like they may be a lap ahead of the field.
3 straight Big Sky Tournament championships. This is the 4th time they've been here, 4th straight time. And it looks like it's going to be the 3rd straight time they go home with a big trophy.
This had to have been as difficult as any of the 3.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt.
Not just because of what you lost, but you had to start the process of keeping guys in your program, then drawing new players in. He started about as late as anybody could in that process. Vasquez, the O-board. Now gets a corner 3. He'll hit that. And it'll bring it down to 17 with under 2 minutes to go.
Basket, no. Foul away from the ball. Is that what happened there?
So the 3-pointer is good. Foul away from the ball. This is against Patterson. And so this possession continues.
Yes.
And they have a chance to make this a 6-point possession. How about that? Oki to the free throw line. Gets the front end of the 1-and-1. And Oki, a guy who puts his hard hat on and does all of that dirty work, a guy who is so passionate about playing in this program.
13 points now for Oki. Close to a double-double, 13 and 8.
Ford running up the sideline, cut off by Moody, fouled by Williams. After the back-to-back championships, it had been referred to as the golden era of Montana State basketball.
Yes.
It appeared like it was going to be tough to build something like that again. And this group of leaders and guys who waited their turn have been able to pick up where others left off when it mattered most. Robert Ford III had to wait his time. Tyler Patterson came off the bench, had to improve his game. A guy like Lekalot was behind Bello and Osobor for a few years there. Missed front end of a 1-and-1. Montana, who had a 6-point possession the final time they had the ball, looking to make a surge here late. Vasquez can't get this one.
Vasquez has had an awful hard time shooting it in from 3 tonight. I think he's 3 of 8 right now.
He started really well from 3 at the very beginning of the game. Robert Ford III now with 9 rebounds. And when the water appeared to get rough, it was Ford who was able to settle them into what they were doing. Some key defensive plays. Same thing with Turner. Deserves a lot of credit as well.
Robert Ford III with 7 double-doubles this year. He's the 7th leading free throw shooter in the league. I said, boy, you can't have too much better year than he's had. First team all-league, defensive player of the league. Looks like the probable MVP of the conference tournament.
Vasquez drives through, lays it in. 1:25. Montana State in no hurry to inbound, but want to get it in before 5, and they do to Ford. This was as crazy a year as you'll ever see in the Big Sky Conference. And also in this era, a number of teams with a lot of experience. That was the case with Montana. So many different guys who played so many games, as you talked about. And that was one of the biggest reasons why they were able to have the surge that they did.
Yes.
And battle through the adversity they did, and then also go such a long stretch without losing back-to-back games.
The Grizzlies have had a great year. Congratulations to Travis Secure, his 200th career win here in this tournament.
This one would have to hurt as many as any of them.
Oh boy, oh boy.
I hate to say that for his sake.
Yeah.
As great as he has been, his team right there in position tonight. And it just ended up being a stretch of play they'd love to have back. Bobcats with under a minute to go. Turner lost it to Vasquez, and Vasquez now makes the quick layup. Still a 13-point deficit. They'll need a flurry of takeaways and Montana State mistakes. They're going to complete this. Turner harassed in the double team. The final timeout for the Bobcats is called by Coach Logie.
Vasquez now with 20 points. And coming down the stretch of playing, the guy's played more games than anyone in the Big Sky Conference. Josh Vasquez, career is coming to a close. A season high 17. He surpassed that today. He needs one more to get a new career high. His career high is 21 that he did scored against Idaho.
Take a look at Robert Ford III. What a night for him, Coach. And when things were tightest, he was at his best.
The littlest guy on the court playing the biggest. I mean, he has just controlled this game physically, statistically, and just competitively, really. He has just competed at an unbelievable level.
He's just a fantastic player. And he hit the big three-pointer to help put it away a year ago in that championship game against Northern Arizona. And he made all the big plays to help them get this 13-point lead tonight. Starch Madness, this tournament affectionately called. And boy, I tell you, the madness was there. The starch was there.
How about that?
The enthusiasm was there. I mean, all the upsets and the drama from start to finish. This was a ton of fun. And this second half, with a flurry from Montana State, what appeared to be a showdown quickly turned into a beatdown.
You know, I am just aghast almost. I mean, I would have never, ever thought. Once the Grizzlies got up double figures, I thought, okay, here you go. This is going to end up being a runaway. And boy, the Bobcats had nothing to do with that.
Ford throws it across for Patterson. The Bobcats will take as long as they need to before getting fouled. And Ford will go to the free throw line. The fans from Bozeman up on their feet here at Idaho Central Arena.
Ford with 20 points now. His 10th 20-point game of the season. His season high is 30.
It was going to be a lot of patience and understanding for Coach Logie in that first year. But this was the way to make a great first impression.
You think? You think? Holy my.
And the fan base would have been more than understanding.
Sure.
For what they were facing up against, and to give them the appropriate amount of time to get the team built the way he wanted to. Well, he built them on the fly and built them really well. He's gonna make a lot of friends over there in Bozeman.
Boy, isn't that the truth? And one more steal.
Ford will run it up. And then run it out. The Montana State fans who watch their team get swept by Montana during the regular season. They'll happily exchange this 2 for 1. Robert Ford III points to the sky. There's no place like first place. And Montana State knows all about it. 3-peat for the Bobcats. Well, Coach, what an amazing ride here. What a lot of fun during this tournament. Montana State does it again in a year and in a time they were least expected to.
Certainly not expected to do a whole lot this year. Certainly not expected as a 5th seed to get a whole lot of confidence way to the big dance.
What a phenomenal night. So much fun this evening. Bobcats win the championship. So many guys so proud of the way they came together in the late part of that season. They had some performances where they were trying to find their footing. They were trying to lock in on that identity. And players like Lecolot, who emerged late in the season to go from 6th man to the man at times. Robert Ford III, the defensive player. Olmsted, from being a walk-on to starring big time with a career night. Tremendous tournament, tremendous night. Montana State, their 3rd in a row.
And how about Homestead? Out of nowhere, shows up to carry a big offensive load. And boy, what a miraculous job Matt Logie has done. Congratulations to him and his family. I know his grandpa, Ed Peppel, would be very proud.
Well, congratulations to Matt Logie, to the Montana State Bobcats. It doesn't matter how late it is. The party is on in Bozeman tonight, and it's on in Boise as well. That's it for us here tonight at the Big Sky Tournament in Boise. 2 teams have punched their ticket, as it was Eastern Washington for the women's bracket and Montana State for the men's bracket. Our thanks to our production crew doing a great job. Our thanks to you for watching. For Coach Joe Cravens, I'm Tony Parks. A reminder, all games all throughout the week airing on the ESPN networks and streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.